about the way cash crisis works.
Talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important banks. They removed the 1,000 thing on there called monetary awareness. Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some RTD news updates. And as you tell, in today's title, we're going to be talking about the global banking system in association with SWIFT, all tied to the whole Iran and nuclear deal that's unraveling right now with the United States of America. And this article is quite timely in the fact that this past week I had a chance to be interviewed, and one of the questions posed to me was what would happen with the whole Iran situation in regards to the EU nation suffering losses from some business deals that may go sour, not being able to utilize the SWIFT system since Iran might come under sanctions again. And my response was simply that the EU would have to come up with alternatives of their own to bypass the dollar. And so this article here does a great job of painting how that scenario has already been brought into the light and possibly in the works. But as always, if you're new to RTD, I want to encourage you to click the subscribe button along with the notification tab to be informed of future updates as well as live streams. Also join me on Twitter, where I share posts throughout the day on various subject matters dealing with our monetary system as well as whatever's happening in the news that I can't get to via video. Make sure you click the button down below to be notified when things are posted. So today I have an article I want to share with you. I think it's very interesting in the fact that the mainstream news is shining a little light on the idea that the SWIFT system, and it's associated with the word fiefdom. And so of course, not really being familiar with the word fiefdom, I had to look it up and give you an idea exactly what it is. The old use was an area of land, especially one that is rented and paid for by work. And a more modern version is an area or type of activity that is controlled by someone. So basically saying that the global banking system is not an American fiefdom or controlled by the United States of America in a sense. But yeah, this article here, I'll thumb through it briefly. And as always, I want to encourage you to take the time to read for yourself. But it's very detailed in how the process of coming up with an alternative might be in the works, or the European Union deciding to attach themselves with Russia and China's alternative payment system to thwart some of these sanctions imposed on Iran. And so, give you an idea what's going on here, it says the friendship between the U.S. and Europe has been the most important in the world since at least 1941. Today, it is openly in question. It says the next striking may be the global banking system. It says the U.S. administration plans to shut Iran out of the system as a re-imposed sanction regime. Perhaps the fastest way to do so would be to end Iranian access to SWIFT, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Scroll down a little bit. It says the present divergence does not mean that European leaders keen to protect the nuclear deal will keep Iran in SWIFT, or for that matter, keep it open for business with the world outside of America. If the U.S. wants to force the issue, it could bring pressure to bear on SWIFT. So it's talking in reference with a part of the SWIFT system being based out of Brussels, and those that live in Brussels that's a part of the SWIFT board or whatnot don't want no parts of this sanctioned Iran aspect. So it's now leading up to what some alternatives may be. And it says Europe could in theory set up a bank of its own backed by the European institutions to facilitate euro-based commerce and investment in Iran. It says Europe's current response to U.S. pressure is updating a 2-decade-old blocking statute designed to protect European companies from early U.S. sanctions. It says Mr. Trump imposing his will on SWIFT would increase the chances that alternative communication systems will gather support around the world. Then it goes on to say, such a shift might extend to other parts of the dollar-based global payment system. It says U.S. rivals, China and Russia, are open in their desire to see this system fracture. So here we have the idea that not only has the idea of removing ourselves from the nuclear deal could cause a rift with our European allies, but yet, as you can see, it's going to play more into the whole de-dollarization process because it will spur about the need for alternatives outside of the SWIFT/dollar banking system. So as you saw, it says China and Russia already have interest in a fracture with the dollar dominance as it is. And so I could possibly see EU joining forces with or attaching themselves to their Eastern allies just to have an alternative means outside of the whole SWIFT system, which, as you can see here, as they consider it a fiefdom or more so monetary bullying on our part here. I could see how the EU might have some things in the works, if not in communication with their allies, either Russia or China, to strengthen even more some type of union to be able to receive payments, especially dealing with Iran and any other country that might fall under the fiefdom of the United States banking system. So other than that, I just want to shine some light on this subject matter here. I thought it was very timely since this question was posed to me, and of course the word alternative will become more prevalent in our mainstream sources just because more people, more nations, more governments are figuring out ways of doing things outside of what has been conventional for so long. Since the global economy seems to be so fragile these days, there's more people looking to diversify themselves away from the Federal Reserve note And so it's interesting how this situation here might become a little bit more serious as the whole idea of sanctioning Iran comes into play again. So other than that, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Leave a comment down below and look forward to bringing you more RTD news updates.
Is the next recession?
Recession will be.
Will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months, but a lot of things about this particular one have not been typical. So
A crash is coming. Now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
I go to bed every night, I dream of another recession. If you know what to do, if you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.